No, it feels kind of weird. Like it's odd coming back to doing lives after not having done lives. Yeah, that kind of without saying, but hello, gorgeous humans. How are we going? As it kind of said in the title slash on the thumbnail, this is a journal with me slash ask me anything session. We haven't had an ask me anything live for a while. I know I've done videos where like people had questions and then I'd screenshot them and I'd answer them in the video in general, but actually like live answering questions, we haven't done that. Like as a proper thing. I don't know. I'm incredibly out of practice with how we actually start these things. So, yes, let us know what you're drinking. Let us know what you're doing. Let's get into it and do some stuff. As it says on the screen, if you do have a question for our Ask Me Anything, so AMA, Ask Me Anything, then just leave it in the chat. Or if you're here on the replay, just leave it in the comments and I will get back to you. Oh my gosh, sipping on a peanut butter cappuccino. That sounds really good. Strawberry bubble tea with blueberry popping boba also sounds really good. I, of course, as can be expected, have my Coke Zero, which I'm not going to tilt because I just opened it. Delicious. But yeah, I don't want to spill that all over my planner. So I set up weeklies for the entire of this month, and as you can see, didn't really use them. The idea for this was like, hey, I'll have horizontal sections for the days that I'm away on our trip so that I could come in here and write down like journaling and whatever else about my trip and the details with that. But I didn't do that, so they're blank, but that's cool, you know. Lesson learned, I guess. Probably not. I'll probably do something similar again, but it's fine. And then for when we actually got back, we've got vertical because this is how I like to do a lot of my like task list planning, regular kind of stuff. So yeah, I've got those for the next 2 weeks. And then after this, we're getting into April. This is actually just like a full sheet sticker that I got at Go Wild. And I was like, oh, I could cut them out because they're not actually pre-cut. It's just like one big sheet. So I could cut them out and I could put them, you know, in properly and use them in different places. But I just decided to stick the full sheet in because I liked that it was in rainbow order. I thought it was cute. Oh, strawberry flavored water. Nice. Oh gosh. Now I want something fruit flavored. Gosh dang it. Oh, there we go. So weekly logs. Oh, you don't like weekly logs? I'm sad to hear that. See, weekly logs are kind of my regular go-to. It's what I usually do. Also, if you are here on the live, make sure that you change the chat box from top chat to live chat so that you don't miss anybody's comments. Otherwise, you know, I'll be talking about someone's comment. You'll be like, what? I didn't see that. Is she just talking to herself? Probably. But anywho, so this is a sticker page because I wanted to stick it in. And then after this is where we're going to get into April. I was originally going to set up April before I left, but I kind of half ran out of time and just kind of felt like it was way too early to set up April. Like I would have been setting it up in, oh gosh, like the middle of February. It'd be like way too early. Alrighty, so we have a question. Yes, will you be doing a video on Go Wild? Yes, I will. I took a whole bunch of footage while I was there, so there is plans to do a kind of Go Wild recap vlog or something like that, like kind of a week that was type thing, but a Go Wild. So that's going to be at least one of the videos. And then I'm also thinking of possibly doing like a was Go Wild worth it kind of a video, mainly looking at like, you know, the actual amount that I spent to go there, like the ticket price and also just like other costs, like actually getting there because I'm in New Zealand and it was in DC, and thinking about other costs around like, you know, accommodation and food and all of that kind of thing. Speaking of that, I'm pretty sure I haven't actually sent Erica money for our trip, so I need to write that down. That's a pretty big deal. Whoops. Pay Erica. Sorry, Erica, if you're watching this. I don't think she is, but if you are, sorry, Erica. There we go. For hotel. Cause yeah, that's it's one of those ones that like I say, hey, you know, let me know how much it was, and she sends it through, and I go, sure, I'll do that later today, and then I just forget. So, whoops. Alrighty. So, there's no live chat anymore. It's just all messages. Interesting. Oh, mine says live chat. Maybe YouTube hasn't rolled that feature out to me yet, but okay, that's unfortunate. Oh well. Let's see. So I need to start actually saving your question comments so that we can go through them. Alrighty, okay. So I've already seen one question in particular, which we will get onto, but before we get to that, I did put up a little kind of like question box on Instagram, that's the one, when I was saying, hey, like we've got a live coming up, make sure that you leave me questions and whatever. So we did have some questions from there. So I'll start with the most general one. So like, you know, how was Go Wild? So where's my little Go Wild planner? Let me go find that. I mean, it's somewhere in my office is already a mess. Like I just got home a couple of days ago and it's already looks like a bomb site. So I have my little Go Wild journal. And then we'll have a look at that while we're going through. There we go. So Go Wild was like it was good. Okay, we'll start by saying it was good. I did enjoy Go Wild, but I think that maybe like expectations and reality didn't necessarily line up on some things, which is, you know, fine. But so this was my little Go Wild journal that you guys have seen before. So we've got like a little summary page and all of that, which of course like the trip's over now, so I don't really mind sharing my travel details with you and where I was staying. But if we flick forward, I did make sure I took down some speaker notes, which was cool to do because like I stuck in these little labels before I went, obviously. But I also stuck them in before they'd announced the speaker order, and I thought that all of these speakers were standalone speakers. So when it came to the actual ordering of these, it didn't really make a lot of sense for some of them because, for instance, these four were speaking as part of a panel together, whereas I had them kind of just spread out throughout all of these different spaces. So I had to like pull the pieces up and then stick them back down and stuff, but we got it done. It's all good. So a lot of the speakers I did find enjoyable to listen to, or like, you know, had some kind of insightful information, so I took some kind of notes about those kind of things. Some of them I thought were like okay. Like, what's a nice way of saying this? There were some speakers that I either didn't necessarily gel with their presentation in terms of like the information itself, because I'm like, yeah, okay, I came all the way to DC to hear you talk about this, sure. And some of them I felt were almost like inappropriate in a way, like touching on subjects that maybe should have had things like trigger warnings and stuff like that. We did have, like, for instance, one speaker in particular, and I will get more into this when I do probably more of like a proper recap video, but one of them did give content warnings at the start of their presentation, which I really appreciated, except they were using acronyms. Is that the one? Is acronyms the one where things stand for word, like letters stand for words? Yeah. So they were using acronyms that I wasn't familiar with, so I didn't really necessarily quite know what was going to be in their presentation. So that was maybe something they could have done a little differently. And then there was also like one in particular that left me feeling very uncomfortable. But again, we'll talk about that later. In general, though, Go Wild was a good experience. It was really nice to meet people that I've like spent time with online and talk to from there and all of that kind of stuff. But I feel like I didn't necessarily have to Go Wild to do that. So, but yeah. So all in all, it was a good time. It wasn't necessarily what I was expecting, but yeah. All right, let's go see. So, I have a starred question. Where did I put it? I'm very good at not being able to keep up with you guys in the comments because you guys are really onto it, and I'm just like completely in terms of actually being able to keep on top of stuff. But I'm trying. Like, if you've said hello to me and I haven't said hello back, I apologize. And I know that like a lot of you have said hello, but hello. Thank you for your welcomes back. I'm very happy to be home. We effectively decided that like how long was our trip away? It was practically like 2-week trip, right? I think that 2 weeks away from home is a little bit too long for me, but you know, it's fine. It's cool. It's all good. So Another part of our trip outside of Go Wild and seeing Washington, D.C. was going down to Florida to go to like Disney and Universal. So we do, of course, have the question, how is Disney? I wanted to enjoy Disney so badly. It just like wasn't good. Like it wasn't a good time. I think that like I've learned a lot about myself as a traveler from our trip, because I feel like this is the first big trip that I've taken in a really long time. So I learned a lot about what my preferences are, I suppose, for traveling. And Disney, I remember Disneyland or whatever it was. I can't remember what they're all called. Disney Tokyo. I really enjoyed Disney Tokyo when I went, which was approximately like 15, 14 years ago. So I was younger. I was still in high school when I went, and I really enjoyed that. So I was kind of expecting the same when I went to Disney this time. Like I was expecting it to be an equally enjoyable experience. What I didn't realize is that all of the parks are separate, like quite separate. I thought that they would be a lot closer together than they were, but they're very much utilizing the fact that they had a lot of land to work with. So yeah, everything was really spread out for one. And I don't know if you guys know, but I'm like not big on walking and moving around like that. Yeah, so there was a lot of walking and it was very hot, which I mean, like, yeah, I get it. It's Florida, but I don't know why, but I was expecting it to be less hot because it was in March. And maybe I don't know when the cold quote quote, maybe I don't know when the cold season of Florida is, but it certainly wasn't when I was there. So we ended up booking 3 days at Disney, and I didn't realize that when you book your ticket, you actually have to specify which park you want to go to on each day, which I was a little bit miffed about because when I booked the tickets, everything was free and open. So we were like, okay, well, on this day, we'll go to X and then Y and then Z or whatever. And when I booked the tickets, they were all available. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, there's free availability. Like, we can go to whichever. Didn't realize you actually had to specify which parks you wanted to go to. So I ended up having to do it like 2 days before we were actually supposed to go to Disney, which means we couldn't go to the Magic Kingdom, which was one of the ones that I actually kind of wanted to go to. So we booked our 3. We did what was Hollywood Studios on the first day. Then our second day was Epcot, and then our third day was Animal Kingdom. Yeah. So Animal Kingdom was probably the one that we didn't really want to go to, but we didn't have any other option unless we wanted to go like back to Epcot or back to Hollywood Studios. So we're like, okay, we'll do those 3. It's upsetting, but it's fine. And then it was just so hot and so busy. Like, I think that that's the thing that really got me. Like, we went to Universal Studios the days before, like, so we 5 days in Florida, 2 in Universal, 3 in Disney. And we went to Universal the 2 first days. And I was there thinking, oh my gosh, there are so many people here. Like, but at least Disney will be less populated because they actually cap how many people can go to Disney. Like, I don't know what their cap is, but oh my Lord, like, there was so many people. And again, like, I really thinking it through, I probably should have known in advance that it was going to be really popular. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's not the busy season. It's fine because in New Zealand, it's not school holidays or anything like that, which I sadly found out that we actually had booked to go during spring break. So I'm like, well, heck, that was sad. So yeah, the first day of Disney was super, super hot, and then there's like absolutely no shade, so that was kind of miserable. The second day, I'm like, oh, it's all right because it's gonna rain. And I was like so excited about the fact that it was going to rain because I'm like, okay, it's gonna be raining, there's gonna be cloud cover, it's gonna be less hot, it's gonna be great. And we checked the weather report the day of rain day. and it said light rain. At least that's what I thought it said. Maybe it hadn't updated or something, but it was the fattest light rain that I have ever experienced. Like, the raindrops were practically this big. They were huge. So, literally just walking from the car, or like the Uber, to the restaurant, because we effectively decided that the restaurant by our hotel was not a good space for breakfast. So we're like, okay, well, we'll go for a like late breakfast, early lunch kind of thing. So we ended up, oops, sorry, pressed a thing, didn't mean to. Anywho, we ended up going to this restaurant for lunch on this rain day. And yeah, just going from the Uber to the restaurant, got completely drenched. And then 5 minutes later, the sun came out. So I was like already in a foul mood because I was completely drenched and it was hot again. And we were going to this cafe that it's called the Rainforest Cafe. You might have heard of it. Vogel was like super excited to go to the Rainforest Cafe, so that's why we were going. And it was like okay at best. It was completely not worth the money, IMO. But what? It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. So that kind of put me in a foul mood. And then we were walking around again in the excessive amount of space that everything seems to take up at Disney. And it was hot. And then it rained again. And so, yeah, Disney was okay at best. Like, to the extent where on the third day that we were supposed to go to Disney, we just didn't. Like, and I felt really bad about it because I know that, like, you know, I paid this, like, so much money to go to Disney and I was really looking forward to it. And I really wanted to enjoy it. But it got to the point where I'm just like, I may have put this money in, but that cost is not worth me being miserable. The most magical place on earth, my rump. Like, I was absolutely not for it. So on the third day when we were supposed to go to the Animal Kingdom, we actually just ended up going back to City Walk for Universal, and we went and played mini golf, which was like another 75 75 US dollars, which was a bit steep, but it was still like way more fun than I would have had if I had have gone to Disney. So I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, there actually were quite a few little people in their cheerleader outfits. Yes, good point. Yeah, Rainforest Cafe's kid food, 100%. Yeah, I just like feel like for the cost of the food, it's just like you should be better. But yeah. It was a cute, like, novel experience, let's put it that way. So yeah, Disney was not for me. At least Disney Florida. I think that, like, I'd still be open to going back to a Disney park, but not those ones. Yeah. Florida rain. Yes. I'm doing well here. But yeah, so I wanted to like it, but I didn't, which was very unfortunate. Okay, so we had the question of, did you enjoy the free swag? So yes, but like, there's always a proviso, right? When it comes to journal stuff, I know in my soul I am a picky biscuit. So I always kind of like, if I'm gonna get something, I kind of want like the full set of something, or you know, like, doesn't even necessarily need to be a full set, but I prefer a set kind of a thing. So when we get swag that's like individual pens, I'm just like, and I know the reason they're giving you the individual pens is so that you can test it and then you might like it and then you'll buy the full set for yourself. But I'm just like, just give me a 5-pack or something. So let's see if I can bring up a picture for you guys, because I did take a picture of all of my swag before I had to de-stash some of it. Let's see. Alrighty, I don't know if you guys can see that one, but this was my kind of bed of swag, I guess, from Go Wild. So this is all of the stuff that we got from the conference itself. So like from presenters or from like swag drops or like whatever else, that kind of thing, rather than just from like the charity and goodness of the people going. Yeah. So along with the stuff that's on the bed, we also got things like, you know, table mate gifts and all of that kind of thing. Now, I know that when you lay it out like that, it looks like a lot. And that's not to say that it's not a lot, but there's method to the madness, all right? There's a reason why it is laid out like that, right? It's to make it look as expansive and impressive as possible, right? And again, it's not to say that there's not a lot of stuff there, but it's all like one layer thick, yeah? So we've got like really big pieces that are laid out so that then you kind of, it looks more than it is in a way. When you actually pack that all up, it fits into something a lot smaller, which is, it's fine. Like, okay, I know that we were saying I was going to talk more about this later, but I know that a lot of people who go wild say it's not about the swag. And yeah, it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be going because you want to get free stuff. But then on the kind of like flip side of that, a lot of people say when you go wild, like, oh, bring an extra suitcase because you're going to get so much stuff. Or like, oh, I'm going to have to like, book in for extra luggage to be checked in because I'm going to get so much stuff. So it's like, on one hand, you're being told like, oh, it's not about the swag, you're not going because of this. But then people are also constantly talking about how much stuff there is to get. So it felt a little bit like weird in that respect. It felt like there's a disconnect between what I'm supposed to focus on in terms of not being the swag, but then everybody mentioning the swag. I'm wording this poorly, but hopefully you kind of get what I'm saying here. So yeah, this is the full layout of stuff that I got from the conference kind of thing, whether that be like free stuff from booths or like stalls or table drops or whatever else and that kind of thing. So if we kind of look at the back, can you see my mouse maybe? So it's like this bag here is the Go Wild bag that you get from like registration. And inside of that you have a couple of different pieces. So like, I don't know if it was necessarily this one, but you get like a sticker sheet from Chrissy-Ann Designs. And we got things like, I think possibly this postcard. I can't remember. Like, this box here is one of the ones that got sent out to people before registration, like when you purchase your ticket, but because I was international, I had to pick it up there. So that one had like the What Wake Me in Washington DC face mask, like eye mask face mask, like that. It had like some washi tape. It had a 5-pack of the mild liners in a selection of colors, that kind of thing. So that one was kind of a little bundle of stuff. And then yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna do a proper full video about the swag and what I got. But it's also one of those things that, like, as somebody who doesn't use stickers and doesn't necessarily use things like tabs or there was a lot of swag that I ended up just giving away because it was not something that I'm going to use. So things like decorative postcards or things like the like there were a couple of like lanyard charms and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't ever use a lanyard outside of like this event where they give you a lanyard, which is sitting just in the corner here. Like, I'm like, I don't need that kind of a thing. Yeah, so those kind of bits and pieces I ended up leaving behind. We got given some planners, which I thought was a really cool thing to be given. There was one in particular that I thought was really cool. We'll look at that in a second. But one of the things that I felt kind of odd about the planners is that, like, it's already March when this conference is happening, and they gave us dated 2023 planners. I'm like, this just kind of feels like you're a business trying to get rid of excess stock rather than something kind of intentionally and carefully thought out for being given away at this conference. Like, again, it's not to snub my nose at free stuff. Well, it's not free stuff. I paid for it, but like, it's not to snub my nose at the giving of the swag, but it's more that, like, if you're going to give away a planner, then why wouldn't you either give one that's like the academic year for like American academic year, so like June or whatever it is, July through to the next June, so that it actually could be used in full, or give an undated one. That feels like it would make more sense. Yeah. So now I've got these 2023 planners that I'm like, I already have a bullet journal, so I'm not really gonna use you. What do I do with that? So let's have a see. For instance, one of the ones that I got given was this Rad Happy Planner. Rad and Happy Planner. It's not a happy planner. But like, yeah, your 12-month planner for your rockstar self. That's cool. Like, it's cute and stuff, but it starts in, well, first of all, what the heck is this? Is this a coloring page? I don't know. Anyways, I'm trying not to be snarky. I'm trying to be good here. But this is dated for 2023. So there's already 2, well, almost 3 full months in here that I can't use, which it just feels odd. So that's a thing. That's one of the planners that we got given. We also got given a hell of a plan, which is a planner here on, what's this place? YouTube. Oh my god. I woke up like way too early today. Vogel and I are having a really hard time with like the time change, so just waking up way too early. But like, it's a really pretty planner. Like, I think it's very, very cute, but again, it's a 2023 planner, so there's at least 3 months that I can't use. And I mean, like, yes, I could redate it for next year, like you've said there, Mel and me, but it just feels like a lot of work to redate the planner to use it, because I don't know. So which is the next year that has the same calendar layout as 2023? Because there will be one. It'll be in like 5 years or something like that. I have no idea how long it is going to be, but it's just something. So like, it's very cute, and we'll probably do like a little review of it for the channel, but I don't think it's going to be something that I can actually use, because again, like, I'm not going to redate it for next year, and it feels super wasteful to have 3 months that I already can't use. So yeah, there we go. Tink break. Tink. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Ashley. Such a pleasure to meet you too. It was really cool just like getting to meet people, like, especially people that I've like interacted with online before and all of that. And like, meeting Erica was a big thing, because obviously we worked together on the Art and Olive design team and stuff. So it was just really cool getting to meet like a bunch of new people and like familiar faces, but familiar from online and that kind of thing. 2033, really? Do I have to wait 10 years until I can use it? Oh, okay, now it's worse. Do I have to wait 11 years until I can use it? Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking. It seems like an odd choice to give a planner away at a planning conference that you can't use in its entirety. One of the ones that I did really like, that I thought was a really good share, and again, my desk is a mess, so excuse me while I try and find it, was this plum paper one. And I think it's mainly because this one doesn't really feel like a full planner. It's more just about looking at the different layouts that they offer in their planners. So they give you like your calendar and stuff, and like, yes, this one is dated for 2023, but it's more so about highlighting the different types of layouts that you can get from their planners, which I thought was a really cool idea. Like, this makes a lot more sense in terms of a share, because they offer so many different layout styles, so you can kind of see what they would look like in their physical form, so that if you were going to make a purchase from them, you can make an informed decision. This makes more sense than other stuff that can be used when you think of leapfrog when we say leap year. So I like this one. I thought this was really cool. That was a really good thing to share, I thought. We got a bunch of sticker books. One of my favoriteest things, though, my favoriteest thing that they shared, which was not from the conference itself, but like a person who came to the conference shared it, was this peanut pencil case. It's so cute. So there was somebody who came to the conference because they have a little app for the conference attendees, so that they can organize meeting up and stuff like this and whatever else. But one of the attendees at the conference was hiding these around the conference space and stuff like that. So Erica and I went on like a manhunt to find the peanut pencil cases so that we could like have one each, because they'd post like a picture clue to be like, oh, I'm just like working on my fitness kind of thing, and it was like outside the fitness center, like on the floor or something like that. or they had them like hidden in the couch cushions and hidden in the floral designs and hidden in balloon designs and stuff that they had in these different kind of like photo spaces and whatever. So this one, super cute. We got a lot of pencil cases, which like that's a great share. Like my favorite swag is storage. So pencil cases and things like that. We got, so I jam-packed him full of pens. So these ink joys were not given to us by conference attendees, but more so because we had the JashiiCorrin meetup as part of the DC experience, and I had a bunch of people bring me along some ink joys because they know it's my favorite pen. So I was like very happy to have a really decent stock of these now. So if you were one of the people who bought me an ink joy or a couple of ink joys or a large pack of ink joys, just know that I appreciate you very, very much. So we've got all of those kind of things. But yeah, so the peanut pencil case was a kind of bonus rather than a swag done from the conference itself, if that kind of makes sense. Whereas these pens were from Altenew, and they're like a double-ended with like a fine liner tip and a brush tip. This was given out as part of one of the sessions, so we have some pens there. But yeah, I've got like a bunch of stuff that I really need to work through and have a proper look at. This pencil was given to me by somebody who came along to the meetup, which is very sweet of them, and it smells good. It's a good smelling pencil. All right. So all in all, swag was a mixed bag. And we will do a full kind of look through of all of the different swag bits and such. Yes, there we go. Me, ding. Thank you. Very appreciated. I was very glad that like one of the things we were given was an Old Bay seasoning, and I was really worried that they were going to take it off us at customs, but we did manage to get the Old Bay seasoning through customs, so that was good. Vogel's excited to use that one. Alrighty, let's go see. I know I had another one. Alright, what video content did you notice helped get your channel up and running with followers? I have a small channel right now that you're building. Excellent. So for me, the biggest hitters when I started were very much things like the monthly setups, new journal setups, those kind of things always bring in a lot of traffic because they're the things that I guess people search for the most. But things that actually have longevity are usually ones that aren't so timed based. So stuff like idea collections, and I enjoy doing videos on that too. And those ones kind of help as well. So ones that, like, if we go have a sneaky peek at my analytics, I know that one of my most popular videos for a really long time was about 5-minute weekly spreads. So it was just like a collection of making layouts, or weekly layouts in 5 minutes, like with a timer and stuff like that. So that one was a really popular one. But I guess it really just depends on what you want your channel to be about. Like, obviously mine is about bullet journaling, so most of my ones are going to be bullet journaling related. But if you're trying to branch out of into a kind of like different niche or doing things in a different space, then it's going to be a little bit different. I didn't even make it to Trader Joe's. I feel like I let myself down. Like, it was one of the things that I kind of really wanted to do on our trip, and it just didn't happen because there was none that were like actually close enough to us while we were there. Because we had to take an Uber to effectively get pretty much anywhere, for the most part, except in DC where things are a little bit closer together. But yeah, sadly did not make it to a Trader Joe's, but it's all good. All right, so, good question. Okay, so this is one of the ones that was left to us on Instagram, and they said, what supplies would you replace first if all of yours went walkabout? I think that, like, if everything went walkabout, like if I had to start completely from scratch, at the very most, I'm going to need to have a bullet journal and a pen. And the pen of choice is probably going to be the Inkjoy because I like it the most. I like the fact that it's got a ballpoint nib, so it's going to hold up nicely to my crazy pressure that I sometimes like to put on my page. If I'm going to pick a bullet journal, it's probably going to be an art journal loop because, I mean, I just like them. It's the kind of like know and trust kind of model there, so probably gonna go with that one. But then when we go to extra stuff, probably would be the Tombos because they're my most used colored marker. I use them in pretty much any setup that I do. And also probably the Zig Clean color dot markers because I have found them to be incredibly useful and they just like make me happy. So it's probably going to be those four. Yeah. My journal of choice, which is probably the Archer and Olive, my black pen of choice, which is probably going to be the Ink Joy, and then the Tombos and the Zig Clean color dot markers. That would be my like starting foundation if I had to rebuild my stock back up again. Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't go to a Michael's either. Ah, oh, dear. Make French fries with Old Bay. Alrighty, I'll have to do that. That's good. That's a good idea. All right, so I can go through and start getting rid of my questions. And remember, if you guys have a question, just chuck it into the chat and then we can try and answer that. I know I said that this was going to be a journal with me, but I have a very hard time actually journaling while I'm talking. Hey, Jess, you just need to stop running your mouth. You actually need to do some work in here too. All right, we had a question of... Alrighty, would you ever consider doing a mass market bullet journal like Amanda Rachley / others? Yes, I would consider it, but I don't think that, like, in the assumption that you're talking about one that's, like, pre-set up. Alrighty, so talking about one that's pre-set up. Ashley gave me this one, which, I mean, again, this is technically somebody's, like, table swag, like from their sponsor table, but I didn't sit at this table, so I didn't get it. But this is a pre-printed journal like this. Yeah, so it's got like the pre-printed schedule and pre-printed monthlies and stuff like that, and it's like already decorated, which I think is quite cute as an idea. I just don't necessarily know how you would go about this, because this one in particular kind of feels like it is a dot grid journal that this stuff is then printed on top of almost, but I don't think I could do this. Like, we are going to do a review of this for the channel, but one of the things that I'm going to bring up in that video is the fact that the lines aren't aligned with the dots, and it would drive me mental. Like, I don't know if you guys can really see it, but like this one here, it would irk me so hard. Like, I don't think I could deal with it. Again, this is another one where they've given us a 2023 planner, and it's the middle of March. So, I don't know. I'm just like, if you're going to give somebody a pre-printed planner, make it an undated pre-printed planner. Grr. Like, yeah. So this is the thing. Like, it's a really lovely idea, and I think that it's very, very pretty. And I think that this would be really good for some people because, you know, they don't want to have to decorate it themselves, but they still want something that's cute. But make it so that it aligns with the dot grid, please. Anyways, we're just going to put that away. But as mentioned, it's very cute, but I don't think I could actually bring myself to use it. Also, it's not for the right time because it's already the middle of March. But anyways, so yes, I would consider doing a mass market bullet journal, but it would have to be one that, like, the entire thing is printed, not not starting with a dot grid notebook and then is printed on top of the dot grid, because it wouldn't line up and it would irk me so hard. But yeah, like, I would totally be interested in doing one. It's just that that's a lot of work and I can't do it right now, but stay tuned. Maybe one day. Let's see. So another question that we had was, how do you decide which products to review? Two things. One, people request them. So they ask me, like, hey, can you do a review of XYZ? So that one will kind of like get added to my list of things to review. Or two, I get an email from the company saying, hey, would you like us to send you, ABC product to have a look at for your channel? So it's really those ones. There are sometimes people who send me emails saying like, hey, would you like to do a review that I have to turn down? For instance, there was a planner company that was offering to send me effectively what is similar to like a pre-printed bullet journal, but I knew that they had the same issue with the dots and the lines not aligning, and it's one of those things that, like, when it comes to doing my review videos, it's not that I don't like to be honest, it's more just I like to try and be positive, because at the end of the day, I'm not reviewing it for me to use necessarily, but I'm trying to review it based on, like, who would this be right for? Like, who would find this to be a product that they would like to use? And I don't know who, because maybe they're just not in my circles, but I don't know who would like to use a bullet journal type thing where the lines and the dots don't align. Is that the nicest way that I could word that? Maybe. I don't know. But it's like, because I know how much that irks me, and it seems to irk the majority of people, I don't know who I could recommend that product to. So when they asked me, hey, would you like to take a look at this for your channel? I just had to politely decline, because I'm like, no, I don't really, because I don't think that I could remain positive with that being such a kind of, like, what I think is like a key kind of feature in terms of my setups is like, if things don't align, that pisses me off. So yeah, anywho. Yeah, so it's like you get like a blank notebook and then you print the dot grid as part of the design so that everything lines up, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not reviewing it. I'm reviewing it, not recommending it. But it's more just like I don't want to be negative. I'm trying to word this and I'm doing a very bad job of it, but hopefully you guys kind of get what I mean. It's like, if I'm going to show you something on my channel, it's because it's something that I feel like has value for someone, and I need to be able to pitch it in that way. I don't know. Again, I feel like I'm not wording this well, but hopefully you guys kind of get it. But anywho. So let's go have a look, because I've got some more questions to answer. Let's see. Was taking the plunge from teacher to YouTuber scary? Yes. And how scary was it? Quite. I think it was more just like coming to terms with the idea of like, you like both of these things. Like, you enjoy teaching and you enjoy YouTubing, but you can't do both. Which one are you going to be more sad about not pursuing, kind of a thing? And I came to the conclusion that doing YouTube and being like a content creator or whatnot was more the one that I was going to be disappointed in myself for not following through on. So I think that realization kind of outweighed any possible scariness, I guess. Which obviously, because we're here now. we're chatting here now and I am doing the thing. But yeah, it was still like, and it is still kind of scary. Like, you get these thoughts of like, oh, you know, what if this isn't for me? Or like, what if this isn't what I'm quote, quote, supposed to be doing? Or what if this kind of, you know, level of success, I guess you could say, is just temporary, and people are going to kind of come back tomorrow and be like, hey, actually, you know what, her stuff isn't actually what I need, or isn't that good, and then like they all just go away, and then everything's gone, and then it's like, oh gosh, did I make the wrong choice? But those are also just my personal kind of negative self-talk talking, so we can sweep those to the side, be like, yeah, okay, go have your moment over there. So so yes, was scary, but I think that, again, the want and or need to do it outweighed the scariness. Yeah. All right. So we had a question about what happened to the monthly resets. I missed those. Okay. I really enjoy the monthly resets. I really, really do. But one of the things that I found was possibly like the most enjoyable part of the reset was tidying up my office, which probably sounds weird, like just resetting my physical space in that way. But when it came to February, where I was going to do a monthly reset, my office wasn't actually all that messy, because now as I actually have proper storage solutions in here and have, like, you know, everything has their space kind of a thing, it's not as big a need I guess, anymore. And that's not to say that the monthly resets are completely gone, but it's that kind of balancing act of I don't want to necessarily do them on camera every single month because I feel like then my content gets a little bit formulaic. I need a piece of paper. We're talking about this. This doesn't count as a piece of paper, obviously. So, we'll just grab my brainstorming book because it's close. So, when it comes to main content, we'll get a page that is fairly empty. Okay. Fairly empty in the sense that it is incredibly empty. So, in any given month, if we use my crappy pen here. So, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we'll just... Beautiful. I probably could have just used one of those planners for this, but it's fine. So, in any given month, we have, say, 5-ish, God, this is awful, weeks. 3, 4, 5. And, of course, not all 5 of those are filled. So, this is just like a very kind of expanded version of a calendar. So, in any given month, I have a video every Thursday. I have a live every Monday. One of those is for patrons. There we go, live for patrons. And then we have a video on either a Sunday or a Saturday, really depending on when you ask me. At the moment, they release on Saturdays for me, okay? And we know that these aren't all actually getting filled in because it really just depends on like when the month starts. So if the month starts here, yeah, we'll just say it starts on a Monday, nice and easy. We're actually only going to get, 4 to 3, so like up to here or here-ish. So we've got 4 Sunday/Saturday videos and 4 Thursday videos, roughly. So that's like 8 to 9 videos a month, okay? One of those is going to be a monthly plan with me because that's what we always do. So 1 times monthly plan with me. And we're going to have at least one of those is usually going to be some kind of like ideas video at the very least, typically more. And then possibly one of them roughly is going to be a how-to. And then at one point I was also doing an extra monthly plan with me because I was either doing Rachel's or I was doing Vogel's. So that was actually 2 monthly plan with me. So we'll do another like bonus monthly plan with me. So from that, we've already taken up like half of our videos that we can do in any given month. If you then go and put in a like monthly reset, then that's another video that like is now accounted for. And I just feel like if you dedicate 1/8 of all of my videos for the year to being monthly resets, that's just like a lot of monthly resetting that I think people would get sick of it. Like, I feel like possibly there's like not enough newness or new information in it for it to actually be worthwhile every single month, if that kind of makes sense. So what I was thinking 1 month might be nice is to do a monthly reset that is live. So then one of those goes into the live stream slot. Yeah, kind of get where I'm going with this. It's like if I've only got 8 to 9 videos, I don't want to have too many of them be the same thing month after month, especially because like this monthly plan with me is always there. And at the moment, I'm also doing 1 times monthly theme ideas, aren't I? Because I want to do a full year of the monthly theme ideas, which means that like we won't necessarily have them happen next year, but I would like to have like a full set. I think that'd be kind of cool. And so typically, like again, if we just pretend that this is where the month ends, my monthly plan with me is usually here. So that's my monthly plan with me. And then this one is the monthly theme ideas. And then my reset is usually, I try not to have it on the very last weekend so that people could actually kind of use it to kind of do their own or plan their own. So then it's like monthly reset would be here so that I have only got 5 other video slots that I can fill with stuff. And there's like a lot of stuff that I like to cover or like want to cover, I suppose. So it's not to say that the monthly reset's gone. They still happen. They still exist. I don't think we have one planned for this month. I genuinely can't remember. Let's go see. In accordance with mine calendar, we have not got one scheduled for this month. Unless my patrons vote to say that they would like to do a monthly reset. Like, there we go. So yeah, we'll probably not do them every month, but I'll try and go with having them once per every 2 months, if that kind of makes sense. I know you guys are yelling at me to do a poll, but then I have to type stuff and my keyboard is literally on the other side of my desk. Okay, if you feel like monthly resets should be more of a feature on this channel, you should leave a purple emoji in the chat, all right? But if you think that monthly resets should be less of a focus, you should put a green emoji in the chat. There we go. We'll do it that way. Yeah, so possibly, because I have my... See, that's another one. 1 times patron pick. Because one of the videos that I have is the one that's picked by my patrons, and I typically put that towards the end of the month, just, you know, because it's a dedicated kind of slot. So we've got the patron pick poll is coming out at some point this year. Yes, it is coming out this year, some point this month. So we need to possibly think about like what we're going to put on the patron pick. So maybe the patron pick poll, the PPP, the patron pick poll, could have a monthly reset option. There we go. Optional. Boom. All right. We can see the emojis coming in. Alrighty. And there's a pink hand. That's very confusing. Pink wasn't one of the colors. But yeah, here we go. Alrighty, so we've got like they should be a focus, but only quarterly. They should be less of a focus. They should be okay. Well, there's a pretty big balance here. I feel like you guys were right on the poll option. You should have just done it as a poll. Shh. You're allowed to be right on things, and I'm allowed to be wrong. Alrighty, let's go see. So, I need to go find my questions. Alrighty. Alrighty, good question. So, do you have any daily setups you love? I do. I'll go find you one. But before I find you one, we're going to put this poll as an actual poll because the people hath spoken. The tribe hath spoken. So, starting a poll. Monthly resets. Yay for focus. Month-ish. And less of a focus. And I need to get rid of some letters so that we can actually put it in. But / means per. There we go. And don't mind because that's always a good option. Done. Okay, so I'm going to go find my journal so that I can find you this daily setup that I enjoy, and you guys can vote in a poll because you guys are poll fans, which is fine. I like polls too. I just don't like typing. Well, typing isn't that bad. All right. Now, that one is in here, I believe. Yes. Boom. So this is one of the daily setups that, like, when you say daily setup, that kind of comes to mind of one that I actually really enjoy. And so I did the entire month with all these little tabs, which feels very kind of dinosaur. I don't know why. This just reminds me of a dinosaur back. But I really liked this because we had the little kind of focus areas at the top, which I had little dots for, and then as they were done, I would put little like flower petals around them, which I thought was kind of cute. We then had a space for the just daily to-do list. We then had a little reflection space, which I think was about like gratitude or something like that. And then we had my meal plan at the bottom, which it was just a cute little setup, and it was kind of nice and easy, essentially. So we had like simple headers at the top, and then just some dash dot lines to separate each of the spaces out, which I thought was quite cute. So this is one of my dailies that I have probably enjoyed the most. I have also enjoyed ones like, what's the just like the running task list kind of a thing. So kind of akin to the traditional quote bullet journal method. So we grab one of those out. Me B5. So this one in particular, I actually really liked. I think that the simplicity of it was just nice, and it actually got me writing in here a lot more, which made my mind feel a lot clearer. And I really appreciated that for it. I didn't use my action list this month, which just made me sad. I didn't fill it in, and I didn't really use my trackers all that much. But the daily logging part of this month worked really super well. So I really enjoyed that. I tried to do this again in month name. February, I think. But I found that I didn't like my headers, so I didn't use it as much. And I also pre-sectioned out this half of the month, like the later half of the month. So I just wrote the headers in for each of them ahead of time, which meant that I ended up having a lot of wasted space on days that I didn't use my journal as much. But on this one, I just kind of wrote my list for the day, and then when I was done, I just wrote the header for the next day. And this worked really well. Maybe I should go back to that in April. Just really write things down, really use it in that way. So those ones are probably my favorite daily logs, or daily kind of setups, I suppose you could say. So the poll is coming in that we kind of have a fairly even split between yay focus for the monthly resets and nay focus for the monthly resets. And we've got a good chunk of people who really don't mind either way. Always love it. All right. So we ended up with about a 40%-ish saying that the daily resets get out. The monthly resets should be a focus on the channel, which is always good information to have. So another question we had was, how do you do those torn washi edges? And grab my journal so that we can actually see what we mean by that. We like to have an example. Examples are helpful. So by this, I take it they mean these type of edges where I've got like a torn washi tape kind of border, which got like along here and stuff. So I find this easiest to do with washi tapes that are actually quite wide, because you can get some good variation in the ripped border. Whereas if you're using thinner washi tape, you don't really have as much to play with, so it's a little bit more tricky. So if we flip back to, say, here. So same idea again. We've got a nice wide washi tape, and we kind of rip down the sides of this. For these ones, I was using pretty much the entire width of the washi and just ripping off one edge, whereas in other ones, say like this one, I've taken a full strip of washi and ripped it pretty much in half and used the two separate halves to do the decorative stuff. So when I'm doing things like this, typically I will like to use my washi tape shape. Washi tape. There we go. Use your words, Jessica. So we grab one of those so you can kind of see what I mean. If I can find one. There we go. Here's the one I prepared earlier. So you can see that this one here I've ripped pretty much in half on the full width of the tape, and I use both halves to do decoration. So what I'll typically do is I will measure it to the width of the page that I'm trying to put it on. So whether that be like at the top here, if I was trying to do the full length of the top, I'd measure it along here, and then I'd usually cut it off. And then once it's cut off, I can then rip down the middle. Typically, I'll actually rip the backing as well. So rather than pulling the tape off and just ripping the tape, I'll rip the entire like tape and backing like that, because it's just a little easy, because then you don't have to worry about like the stickiness of the washi tape sticking to your fingers and then sticking to itself and whatever else. Is a little bit easier to be a bit more controlled if you rip the backing as well. And so then once I've got my two ripped halves, then I can stick it down onto the page, is typically how I like to do it. I also just I like having these wider washies because it's a lot easier to do this with and actually get a good chunk of the decorative tape rather than using the 1.5 centimeter washies where you just don't really have enough to either get good variation in the ripped edge or just don't have enough left over after you rip it to be able to have a good chunk of decorative element. Yes. Alrighty. Was there a question of what the April theme will be? There hasn't been, or at least if there was one, I missed it. Sorry. But I am not sure what the April theme is yet because the patron team is still voting on it. They have until tomorrow to vote on it, I believe. I think I said it to finish tomorrow. So it'll be coming to a close soon, and then I can start setting up for April because, yeah. I did technically do a poll of what people might want the April theme to be before I left, but that was because I was planning on doing the April setup before I left, which didn't end up happening. So, wah wah. Let's see. Okay. Oh dear, I've gone and put myself somewhere else. Alrighty, question, your house is on fire and you have time to grab 2 notebooks and 1 pen. Well, I'm going to be grabbing at least my Papermate Inkjoy, for sure. 2 notebooks. Are we assuming that they're going to be full notebooks? Like notebooks that already have stuff in them, or empty notebooks? Because I'm just gonna go out on a limb and assume that all of my stuff is actually safe. So I don't have to grab ones that are already full. So if we're grabbing empty notebooks, like 2 notebooks that are empty, haven't been used yet. Ooh. That's tricky. Probably. Why do you have to ask me such hard questions? No, okay. No, I can do this. Probably one of the runs away. Nope, not you. No, not you. No, not you. Ooh, maybe. Ooh, okay. This is gonna be one of them because it's super cute and I love it. Okay. Look at the little bats. They're so cute. So this is gonna be one of them. I'm going to grab this one. I love the holographic, and I love the holographic edges, and it's just beautiful. So that's one of them. The other one is going to be, I don't know, because it's so cute. Because I'm trying to think, like, do I actually want a colored one, or do I want to grab something that's not colored? Because I do. That's the thing. I actually really love black notebooks. But I have so many colored ones because of my journal rainbow. And you know what also, okay, as a side note, that I've also noticed recently is that, like, we'll see if you guys can notice it. Okay, so this is my current bullet journal. This is the one that I'm using at the moment. Here on my desk. Gross. This is the one that I used in, what, kind of middle of last year. And this is the one that I used at the end of last year. And let's see, can I find it? Okay, so this is the current kind of little mini lineup. When I do my next notebook, I'm either going to be doing a square or a traveler's. So if we have a look at the square ones that I have as options. I'm going to have to put all of these back when I'm done. So my square options are option 1 or option 2. And then if I do a traveler's, my traveler option is this guy. Or because I noticed a certain trend with my notebooks, I went and bought another traveler's notebook. So that I would have a different option because I'm so freaking sick of using blue notebooks. And I don't know how this happened, but yeah, so just a little bit frustrated at the amount of blue that I've been using. So I really want to use not blue for my next notebook, but if I end up using square for my next notebook, I only have blue options. So I'm thinking that I might go with travelers just so I could use a different color. But yes. But yeah, I probably just died in the fire. The firefighters are just gonna like find me just being like clutched around my hoard of notebooks, like protect the babies, make sure they're okay. But yeah, so I've just got like a whole bunch of Blue Joes, Blue Joe 1, Blue Joe 2, Blue Joe 3, Blue Joe 4, Blue Joe 5, Blue Joe 6. Sigh. I'm glad that the firefighter is gonna just have to tell the coroner or whatever, like, yes, she died doing what she loved, just like amassing a hoard of notebooks. Like, alright, we think I need a pink bullet journal. That novel is super cute though, but yeah, I don't know how it happened. I think it's just because this was the cutest of the B6s that I had, and this was the only B5 that I had. No, you guys voted on it. I say you guys, it wasn't necessarily you specifically, but a vote was taken about which of my which of my B5s I should use. So this is the one that the people picked because the other two were faux leather or something. I don't know. But yes, so we just put those away. No more Blue Joes. Alright. Vogel's in the other room going, oh. You'll be alright. So, to answer your question, I will take bats, and then I will take death, it seems, because I can't pick any more. Alrighty, let's go see. Yeah, go for the different color for sure. I think I'll probably end up doing travelers so that then I can have a different color because I just need to break up the blueness of all of these, but it's fine. It's fine. Alrighty. So our next question was alrighty. What do you like to do while planning other than filming it? For the most part, Vogel, stop laughing at me. He's so mean. Anyways. For those of you who don't know, I was going to say Vlogel. Vogel is my partner. His name is Vaughn. Also, I feel like I haven't had a drink, so tink. He is sick at the moment, so he is having a sick day. Poor Vogel. Laugh more, Vogel. Yeah. Those who love me very, very that. So, I can't remember what I was saying, but I'm sure it was important. No, it probably wasn't. So what do I like to do while I'm planning? Typically, I will put on YouTube videos. The only problem is that I can't actually watch the YouTube video while I'm planning. That's also why I choose not to do things like TV shows. I did for a while do things like, I know the word. I keep on trying to say Gossip Girl, but that's not what I mean. Gilmore Girls, because Gilmore Girls, they talk so fast that I don't need to watch in a way. Like, they're constantly talking, and they're constantly talking very quickly, and they're quite descriptive, so I don't actually have to pay attention. I can just listen, which is nice. I'll also put on things like video podcasts, mainly just because I typically watch things via YouTube. It's not so much that I'm actually watching it because it's a video, it's more just like listening to it, but that's something that I will use often. Yeah. What else? So we had the question of, have you received your spring sub box from A&O? I don't get them anymore. Like Rainbow Meg has mentioned, I don't actually get the sub boxes. I was effectively only getting them because I was part of the team. So I have not and will not be getting the spring sub box. I did think that the journal with the stitched front was pretty cute. And I thought that the which part was it? I mean, I'm always a sucker for pens, so any pens, I'm like, wah, I'm gonna miss out on that, which is a little sad. But I'm trying to not let my FOMO get the better of me, because actually getting one of those boxes to New Zealand is so ridiculously expensive that I can't justify that cost. Yeah. With that said, though, they have offered to send me the next one, so stay tuned for Jess's sneak peeks of that when it arrives, and when I'm actually allowed to sneak peek things. So, yeah. Alrighty. So, going back to my question list so that I can make sure that I get through all of your questions, because that is the aim of the game here. Ooh, okay. This was a good question. So, where do you see the Bujo community as a whole in about 5 years? That is very interesting. I think that we kind of have this, it feels like we kind of go in cycles almost. So we had like the kind of low key decorative cycle, like kind of mainly kind of functional, but also with touches of decoration. And then we swung into like very heavily decorated bullet journals and a lot of artistry and kind of a bit more, I guess, of a focus on the aesthetic elements. But then we had a big swing back into the kind of like minimalism and, you know, not even necessarily like functional, but more just like very simplistic in terms of designs and that kind of thing. And then we kind of like go around in a loop. It feels like we kind of go around and around and around in that kind of a thing. But I don't know where we are at the moment because I feel like, at least where I sit, I try and kind of sit outside of the cycle as much as I can to be like, you do you type of a thing. So it's like I'm very much more trying to be in the space of bullet journaling, which is like, it can be decorative, like as long as it works for you. It can be super minimal as long as it works for you. It can be a little bit of both, and it doesn't have to be that every single month as long as it works for you. So I'm thinking that possibly in 5 years, maybe we won't put it out as a prediction, but maybe more as a hope. All right. So I hope that in the next 5 years for the bullet journal community, that we get to a place where there's none of this kind of like weird clapback about, oh, you can't bullet journal unless, or it's not a bullet journal if, or any of those kind of things. I really hope that we get to a place where there's not even a need to say it's okay to do ABC in your journal, because it should just be inherent, like a thing about the community that like you don't even need to say that it's okay to do something, because there would be no concern as to whether it wasn't okay to do something. Does that kind of make sense? It's kind of like, and this is like a really random example, but there was this example of like, do you guys know the singer Pink? Yeah, or Alicia Moore, I think is her proper name or whatever. There was like some concert she was doing or something like that, that she like stood up and she said like, my name is Pink, everybody screamed and cheered. My name is Alicia Moore or something, everybody screamed and cheered. And then she said like, and I'm gay. And then everybody kind of went crazy. And she said like, but that shouldn't, she said, I'm not, but it shouldn't get any different a response, kind of a thing. Like, it kind of feels like that. Yeah. I want us to get to a point in our bullet journaling community where it's like, you don't have to like ask for permission or ask for forgiveness to do something that actually works for you in your journal. Does that kind of, do you kind of get where I'm going with this? I know it was a random example, but it just came to mind. But anywho, so yeah, that's what I hope. Like, I wonder, I think that we're going to get to a point where people are using the bullet journal system more in not dot grid notebooks. I think that people are going to get to a point where they're doing bullet journaling in pre-printed planners more. That's something that I kind of think possibly could happen. I think that we're going to get to a point where like probably like within the next 5 years, but not like the end point, we're going to get to a point where people start to kind of get sick of 160 GSM notebooks, or like we're going to start having companies edge into getting thicker and thicker. So we'll have people, like more brands coming out with like proper watercolor notebooks and stuff that people can use, to the point where people do like a full reversal and go back to like 80 GSM. Like, I'm just, yeah, this is me spitballing. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, well, that's not technically, you see, that's the thing, right? It's when people start like sniping and saying like, oh no, I'm sorry, you used a colored marker, like, so it's not a bullet journal anymore. Or like, you know, it's not a bullet journal because you put in, you know, a tracker. Like, or it's not a bullet journal because you're using a weekly log. I'm just like, please shut the fuck up. just stop. Just like, anyways, but yeah. So I guess that kind of goes with the other question that we had, like, what trends in Bujo do you foresee? Which was, I think, another question from the same person, possibly. But I think that they're quite interesting questions. And I'd love to know, like, either in the comments or the chat, what kind of trends in bullet journaling do you guys foresee? Because I know, like, for instance, I think it's very easy to notice a trend after it's already happened. kind of like gorgeous, but it is. So like the point of time where everybody was doing lavender, like every bullet journal would have a lavender theme in their journal at some point. I think it very much happens when you have the bigger names in the bullet journaling space doing XYZ, and then other people doing a recreation of XYZ, and then it's just that kind of cumulative causation of like the people who follow X creator get inspired and do the thing, but then everybody who follows them see that, get inspired and do the thing. Because I think that right now, very that the romantic junk journal style is very big, and I'm like so into it, but I like don't do it. I think it's gorgeous and I love it. But yeah, oh yep. I would say that that's for sure. Reading journals seem to be very, very popular now. And for sure also, more creators having their own pre-printed bullet journals. Yeah. And I do worry that we might get to a point of kind of almost oversaturation in terms of that. Possibly like maybe in a kind of selfish way. I'm like, oh, but what if I want to do a pre-printed bullet journal, and then there's so many out there and nobody will want my one? But that's again just my own negative self-talk talking. But so yeah, I do like the idea of people doing themes that are different. And I think that Tina has done an amazing April setup. Like, I think it looks super, super cool. And I also love that we have like Julia Royal. She does really cool themes that are just different to the usual and that kind of stuff. So I hope that we get to a place in bullet journaling where we have people doing more weird stuff, if that makes sense. I want to see more of that. I'm hoping we get to more of a point of people just doing like weird things. But I think that also happens in most spaces, like people trying to like push, like not necessarily like push the boundaries, but just like kind of do things differently or set themselves apart in a way. And then there's that. Yeah, there's a lot of words, but anywho. Oh, good question. Have you ever missed a day of Bujo? Yes. I mean, hello. It's my journal right here. Look at here. I just drew a line across because I missed every day at the start of this month for filling out my trackers. But it's fine. That's what the line's there for. This is like the line in the sand. We will start from here kind of a thing. And then we've got my, these ones here that I set up with the expectation of actually filling them in, and it didn't happen, and that's okay. I think that for the most part, I try not to hold myself to too high a standard of actually feeling stuff in. Feeling stuff in? Did I say that wrong? I started reading something at the same time as I was speaking. That was a bad idea. Anyways, I try not to hold myself to too high a standard of actually getting things filled in, because there's no point in beating myself up about it. like I could sit here and feel like bad about myself about not having this stuff done, which, in a little way, it's kind of a bummer, because, I went to the effort to set this up, and I would like to, I would have liked to have actually used it. And technically speaking, I could go back in and fill it in, but my time is limited. Like, I have better stuff to do than that, right? So I kind of look at it and I say, yep, it's a shame that it happened, but we can just move on. Like, I can then take my sadness and regret about not filling this in and use it to fuel my filling in of this, if that kind of makes sense. If it does bother me too much, like if I have a space that I haven't filled in and it just makes me too sad to look at, like, you can just tape the pages together. And sure, it'll be a little weird to have a door that has 2 tabs, but if it's gonna bring me that kind of distress, like, just get rid of it. It's all good. I think that I used to be sadder about not having my trackers filled in, like, because trackers are the ones in particular that I have an interesting time with. Or sometimes, every so often, like, I kind of go through a slump and I set up weeklies and they just don't get used or whatever. But I used to go back and try and fill them in, but it felt like wasted effort. Like, who am I doing this for? It felt very performative, I guess you could say. So it's not necessary, I guess, to beat myself up about it. I'm just kind of like, note the fact that it happened, maybe try and consider like, why did it not get filled in? Like, for instance, for these ones, is it because I didn't like the style? Is it because I didn't give myself enough space? It's because like I didn't like the aesthetic or the decoration or anything. Like, use it as a learning opportunity and flip the page and move on. Alrighty, I know that we were literally just talking about people who do really cool and creative things in their journal, and I feel like we just need to highlight Valerie of Bright Violet Arts, because her work with acrylographs and other paint pens is absolutely stunning. So if you're looking for any kind of inspiration in that space, then you make sure that you go check her out. Very, very cool things. Hi, Valerie. Such a pleasure to see you here with us today. Alrighty, let's see. Send energy through the net. Yeah, that would be nice, eh? But if you can't do that, then tink, we can always drink our caffeine drinks and pretend. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Ooh, blank trackers are useful to see. Yeah. I think that, like, okay, we're gonna go find an example. Okay? We love a good example. I loved this notebook. This notebook is so beat up. Like, this was, I think, one of the, if not the first, possibly, yeah, the first faux leather notebook that I used from Archer and Olive, and you can see that it did not hold up very well to me being an abusive Nelly. but let's see, blank tracker. So in April, get out, in August of 2021, I don't know when this was. We're going to say it's 2021. In August of 2021, I set myself up a habit trackers that did not get used. It's fine. I set up a mood tracker that didn't get used because the idea was that you would fill in a little face for each of the Snogies. And I did it for the first 6 days. Actually, I don't think I did. I think I did it for the first 2 days. And then I came in on day 8 and was like, oh, I'll start filling them in. And then I got to the point of like, Jess, you're being stupid. Like, you don't even actually know what happened on these days. You're just filling it in to be performative. So we stopped that. This one here in particular. So rather than, getting all down on myself about not having it filled in and whatever else, I just wrote myself a note about why it didn't get used. Yeah. So as it says here, you made the active decision to not worry about this spread in August. One of the pain points with setting up a month in advance is that life can change quickly. You set this up on July 10th, then won a house auction on July 15th. Which was also the day that Melbourne went into lockdown. These things combined mean your August is super busy, and honestly, you don't want the added task of having to note and record when you're doing things. Then, just days before your move, New Zealand went into a level 4 lockdown, given a community case of COVID-19. Thankfully, Mary, Stuart, Rachel, and Jason, and Rachel's dad, helped you and Vogel move into your new place in the 5.5 hours between lockdown being announced and then starting. So, rather than having this just blank space here and just being like sad about having set something up and not using it, I noted that I had chosen actively to not use this space. And then it doesn't feel like a failure because you made the active choice to do it, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, there are so many trackers in my notebooks that I just like half fill in, even if they're ones that I really liked. Look at the gold. It's so beautiful. Just toot my own horn, but absolutely loved this. Thought the setup was super cute. Did not fill it in. I only ever do mood trackers because I think they're cute, but and same idea with some of these weekly setups. Like, there are certain days of the week that I just slump and don't use, or just get busy and don't use, and that's fine. Yeah. Alrighty. So we'll just chuck this in the pile of stuff that Jess needs to put away later. Oh, she's gonna hate me. Alrighty. Any preference on journal covers? Do you mean like the actual kind of like cover of the notebook, or do you mean like a slip-on cover? I'm going to assume that you're meaning just the kind of outside of a regular notebook. Personal preference, I prefer faux leather. I prefer the faux leather that's like this rather than the one that feels like a bit more spongy, because I find that the spongy faux leather gets dents in it. Especially when you're not careful with things like me. I'm not careful at all. But yeah, this is probably my preference. I also do have a preference for black. Even though I have my journal rainbow. Like, I love my journal rainbow, but I use it more as like a decorative feature in my office because I don't have a lot of decoration in my office. Whereas if I was actually just picking notebooks to use, it would usually be a black faux leather with some kind of a design. If I can get holographic foiling on it, then I'm all for it. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. But yeah, this type of faux leather is much better, in my opinion, than the kind of spongy faux leather, the dense. Yes. Alrighty. If you have left a question, because I know I've missed some and I do apologize. If you have left a question for me in the chat, just send it through again. I will make an active, what's the word? I'm going to make a deliberate choice to pay attention right now to see your questions and collect them so that I don't miss them. There we go. That's what I'm going to try and do. But in the meantime, I know the Bats cover is so beautiful, and it's one of those things that, like, I understand that they can't keep all of the designs forever, but I do wish that some of them were a bit more staple and a little bit like their long term. And I know that they have started doing that. They have their everyday essentials collection that they've started kind of putting, what's the word? Keeping in the stock, keeping in the store for longer. But those are like florals, and there's what I think they have the Celestials, but the Celestials still have floral-esque or botanical elements in them, which, like, if I want Celestial, I'd prefer it not to have botanicals, but then I also know that's kind of their style, so, you know, I guess shrug. Alrighty. Let's go see. Oh, look at you guys with the questions. Love this. Okay, so boom. What do you enjoy to do besides journaling? Sleep, eat. No, okay. I enjoy mainly gaming, like Xbox, or computer gaming kind of stuff. Or I will do like movie nights and that kind of thing with Vogel. That's always a good time. More so though, I would really love to do like gaming nights with friends. So like board games and things like that. That one's always a good time. And then we of course have Bujo Wednesday that happens every Wednesday. So that's with Rachel, myself every week. But then also like Scotty sometimes and Monica sometimes and that kind of thing. That one's always good. But yeah, in terms of like on my lonesome, it'll usually be gaming, movie watching, making Vogel make me food, eating said food. Yeah. Alrighty. Ooh, okay. Good question. What item / bullet journal did you regret buying the most? Regrets of purchasing. I'm usually pretty good with my purchases so that I don't regret stuff, I suppose. But okay, probably I would have to say that, like, the washi tape sets that they have at Spotlight, because they're done by color, which when I purchased them, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great because you can use all of those colors together kind of a thing, and then you don't have to try and find matching washi tapes to do a theme or setup or whatnot. I would show you an example, but I've literally gotten rid of all of them, and that's probably why it's a regret, because they're all gone now. So I would have to say those. Very much the cheerleader effect got me. It's like you look at them all together and they look kind of cool, but they're individually, I'm like, your patterns are gross, your tape smells bad, and they're just like not so good quality. Oh my gosh, guys, Vogel got me breakfast. Oh, thank you, Vogel. I appreciate you.
I hope you like the drink.
This is a very sweet moment. So I'm going to be snacking while we're doing this. Oh, yeah, but we're not turning it into a mukbang. You don't need to watch me eat. That's just gross. So, yeah, it would probably be those tapes because they're just not super good quality. Oh my god, this hash brown is delicious. Okay. So, I know you don't like blackout journals because they are my nemesis. Do you have any recommendations for people or YouTubers who use them? I know Erin of Erin Floto Designs. She's using a blackout every second month of this year. So for half of the year, she's a good recommendation. Other than that, I don't actually have a lot of people on YouTube that use blackouts. But I do have a couple of people, I think, on Instagram that use blackouts that I follow. I think it's like Our Studies, possibly, though I might be misremembering that. Let's go do a check. Let's go do a find. Our Studies. Either them or it's somebody else. Okay, yep, totally is. Let's see if I can do you a screen share. Wahoo. A window? Okay. Poink. So they have some really cute blackout designs, which of course they're not doing it in a excuse me while I eat my hash brown. They're not doing it on video, but they do have some very cute stuff, which I think is really, really swell. Let's see. Nom nom. Obviously they don't do it all the time, but it's still pretty cute. Oh look, it's a little reel. That's like a video, right? Though it's interesting that they have black and white paper. I don't know if it's like, have they stuck black paper in here? Enchanted blackout book. Okay, so they are using a blackout. I'm not too sure. But they have some very cute designs. And I think this is when they were doing a pen test page. It's really pretty. So I would probably recommend them. Other than that, who do I follow that has blackout stuff? I don't even know how to find people on Instagram. I'm like a nano. I don't know how to use it. So that's probably one that I would probably recommend. Let's see. Love questions. Good job with the questions, team. What's your favorite type of tracker if you were going to use one? My favorite type of tracker is probably, the one that I've had the most success with, let's put it that way, because it's a little bit easier, is like this kind of vertical style. We'll find one that's actually filled in so that it doesn't look super sad. So this vertical style of tracker is usually my go-to because it's the one that I have the most success with. So I have my little icons along the top that give me like my different things that I'm tracking, days down the side, and then like each of the little dot grid boxes just represents that day for that habit, if that makes sense. So that's probably the one that I would say is like my favorite because it is the one that I find to be the most user-friendly for me. Also really easy to set up if you're not going to draw the grids out too, which is quite nice. So that one is probably going to have to be my fave. Let's go see about a question. Oh yeah, it's another question. Any chance you will try a notebook with tan color paper? Yes, I would be totally keen to do that. I was actually very tempted to buy it. They call it the craft paper notebooks. And I think that they look really cool. I especially love it when people use like white gel pen on it and things like that. I think it's very pretty. But I also appreciate that you can use black pen on it because it's not black paper. So I would be much more keen to use that over something more like the blackout notebooks because I could use my black pen on it. Yeah. Alrighty. Oop, good question. Favorite board game? My current favorite board game is Betrayal House on the Hill 2 or something. I think it's called like that. My brother got it for me for my birthday. It's a lot of fun. The idea is that like you have to kind of explore a house, and every time you go into a different room, because there's like a stack of room cards. So you go through a doorway, you flip over a room card, and you're like in a special room, and then depending on which room it is, you have to do stuff, and then you like pick up items, and then there are bad guys in the house or whatever. So like whether that be some kind of like a monster or a zombie or I don't know, a dog or something like that. It's a really good game. I'm explaining it incredibly poorly, but you should totally check it out. It was Betrayal House on the Hill 2, something like that. Alrighty. What do I enjoy most about the US was probably meeting people. That would be one of the main things. Getting to experience a new culture is always kind of fun. It's interesting in particular because at face value, you wouldn't really think there's like super mega huge differences, but there were certain things that just make you know that you're not at home, I guess. Because I was talking to Vogel about it. I'm like, when we were in DC in particular, because, start of the trip, I was like, what about being here makes it feel not like home? So there's obviously all of the kind of like physical things and stuff like that. So like the kind of style of the building is different, so like the road structure is different, the just like in terms of road structure, I mean, like obviously driving on the quote wrong side of the road, but also things like just the width of the footpaths and the width of the roads, and then the amount of traffic, and the fact that like people are very horn happy in DC. So it's like just noticing all of those kind of things was just really enjoyable to experience, I guess you could say. So that would be probably one of the things I enjoy the most, along with meeting people, and just getting to, meeting people and experiencing culture. Those would be the two. All right. So any chance you might do a science or journaling content with Vlogbrothers and Crash Course? I feel like I am a little bit too small fish for that. Like, I'd be open to it, but I don't think it would be something I necessarily like pursue, if that kind of makes sense. Like, if they reached out to me, sure, which I do not expect that they would, but I'm not opposed. I'm not searching to do it, if that kind of makes sense. What are your go-to Xbox/PC games? Favorites would have to be Life is Strange. I really like Life is Strange 1 and 3 in particular. Number 2 is okay, but I just don't think it was as strong. I liked all of the old Walking Dead games. Like, Telltale kind of games, the ones that are a bit more story-based and like, pick your own adventure almost. Okay, not quite, but like your choices will have consequences. Pretty much any game where my choices have consequences. We really enjoyed, what was it called? It was the one with David Arquette in it. The Quarry. That was a really good game. I really enjoyed that. But then again, that's another one where like your choices have consequences. So anything in that kind of realm are usually the ones that I like the most. Anything kind of story-based in that way, those ones are always my favorite. I know, right? My hash browns are here because I'm like just scrolling through your comments to find these things. He's such a good egg, but I'm also like, my muffin's gonna get cold. So I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to wrap this up. Let's go see. Scrolling. Alrighty. Do you have a set budget for your art supplies or bullet journal? No. Technically, I don't. But I also don't buy new supplies all that often. I mean, a lot of the time, if I'm getting new supplies, it's because somebody's offered to send it to me. One of the perks that comes with what I do is I get stuff for free, which is quite nice. Usually with the proviso that I'm going to do a video on it or something like that. In that kind of realm of things. But oftentimes I don't buy a lot of new supplies. If I am buying a new supply, for instance, I recently made a purchase at Archer and Olive because they had the fall it would have been fall collection of acrylographs and calligraphs, and I told myself I wasn't going to buy them, but then I did. But again, I had a discount coupon and a voucher for that, so I didn't have to pay for it per se. Like, I had to pay some of it because it didn't completely cover it, but like it meant that it's a lot cheaper for me. So I don't usually feel like I have to set a budget because 1, don't make that many purchases. 2, if I do make purchases, they are usually at a discount rate, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Alrighty. Mochi Bujo is using a Neapolitan. Oh yeah, that's cool. Did I go to Cleveland? No, I didn't get to go to Cleveland. We only did Washington, D.C. and Orlando in Florida. Nice. Alrighty. Do you feel like New Zealand is more like the US or the UK? Probably more akin to the UK, I would say. But again, I went to the UK when I was 5 years old, so it's not really a fair comparison. Let's put it that way, because it's been a hot minute since I've been there. Erin's here. Hi, Erin. I know that these comments are from earlier, but I'm like trying to scroll through. Did I play The Last of Us? No, because I don't have a PlayStation. But when it comes to computer, because I think in theory it's coming to computer, I will play it then. But yeah. Alrighty. Oh, this is a good one. All right. Do you think you will come back to the US anytime soon? Define soon. I don't think that I wouldn't come back, but I have other places on my bucket list that I really would like to go to first. Yeah? So for instance, I know that next year we're going to be doing the bookshop hop, which is in Sydney. It's not a formal event, it's just one that I've decided that I'm doing. So I'm organizing to go to Sydney and go to some, like, a collection of bookshops and do some touristy stuffs and whatever. And that's happening in, like, October of next year. So that's something to look forward to. And yeah, you just gotta go and get down there. It's gonna be cool. And then I also am gonna go to Japan at some point, and I want to do that within the next like 2-3 years. So those ones are on my list before I come back to the US. So that's at least my current plan. So yes, I'll probably be back. I don't think I'll be black. I don't think I'll be black right now. Come on, words. I'm just sitting here thinking about my poor muffin, which is getting cold, and I like want to eat it. But I also don't want to mukbang with you. Like, alrighty. So, how long was your flight to DC? Oh, okay. So because we came from Wellington to go there, we had, see, the bookshop hop is going to be awesome. I'm excited about it. Got my piece of paper. Just trying to fold the piece of paper to avoid spoilers. So we had Wellington to Auckland, AKL, to Dallas, Fort Worth, to DCA or whatever it is. So this was 1 hour. That was 17 hours. No, that was on the way back. That was 12 hours, 12 to 13, and then that was 3 hours. So getting from where I am to DC was that 16 hours. Yeah. To come back, we had Orlando to Dallas, Fort Worth, to Melbourne, to Wellington, which was 3 hours-ish. That was 17 hours, and then that was 3 hours-ish. So what's that, 23 hours? Yeah. So 16 hours there, 23 hours back, plus layover time. Ugh. Which, yeah, not super great. I think that we learned a little bit about, maybe next time we will just try and organize it so we come back into Auckland so that we have a shorter trip there, but it is what it is. Anywho. See, the bookshop hop, it does sound great, doesn't it? I'm super pumped about it. If you want to know more about the bookshop hop, then you let me know and I'll tell you about it. Like, flick me a message on Instagram or something. I'll let you in on the details. Alrighty, let's see. Shouldn't the Europe come before the second US trip? Yeah, probably. Because I would like to go to Italy at the very least, because I'd like to go see like the ancestral home, but I'll get there one day. So just gotta save up the funds and all of that. Alrighty, team. I am going to skedoodle because I want to eat my muffin. If you do still have questions, though, then let me know about that. Leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you'd like us to do another Ask Me Anything session, because I obviously love running my mouth, then make sure that you like the video so that I know that you liked the video. I am going to be doing another live stream next Monday because Monday is the live stream day. I say Monday. It's Monday for me. It's probably possibly Sunday for you, but anywho. But our next live stream is for patrons only. So if you want to be invited along to that, you do have to be part of the patron team. Make sure to jump on over to there and sign up if you want to and all of that good stuff. I'm going to go eat my muffin. It was a pleasure. I love and appreciate all of you. Have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will chat to you next time.